I would love for a brother such as yourself to talk on ancient aliens and how it relates to what we call Black people.
All right, great. Yeah, so that was a great question. I'm glad you brought that question up because that's a really important topic, okay? Yes, we had a very amazing ancient history. Yes, we were kings and queens. Not everybody. Don't get that twisted now. There's a little bit of balance that has to happen.
Right.
You can only have one king and queen at a time. That's what a lot of people don't realize sometimes. There were a lot of people who were still slaves of Black people, believe it or not. It's written in all the ancient texts. And as well as people who were working class and people who were also politicians. But yes, we did have a very colorful history. And yes, we did rule over a lot of advanced civilizations, not only just in Africa, but all over this entire planet. But when you go into the ancient tablets that predate the Kemetic history, leading up to where the land of Kem is mentioned again in the Animal Tablets 36,000 years ago, you discover that we had an even more brilliant, super ancient history where people came here, not little green men with little horns and antenna and all this other kind of stuff, people that we look like them. If you study biology, you will discover that the human being, the Homo sapiens sapien, this hominid body we're in now, this avatar body, is only a few 100,000 years old. That's already scientifically proven. That's peer-reviewed science. You can't bypass it. You can't cheat it. You can't lie about it. You can't fake it. It's the real history. When you go into the ancient tablets, when do they tell you that they created the Homo sapiens sapien, or the Adamu, the first man, the first modern man for this era? About 200,000 years ago. You see, so when you go into the Enuma Elish and the seven tablets of creation, and you go into the Atrahasis epic, you start to discover that there was a super ancient history beyond this history that we've been taught that talks about people coming from another planetary system, coming to our inner solar system to mine our inner solar system for resources like gold and different types of minerals and gems and everything else, just like we are now doing. Matter of fact, we just launched a mission to go rendezvous with a asteroid that has so many trillions of dollars worth of gold on it. So we're doing it. Why wouldn't they do it? Now, all this was etched into stone, etched into wet clay, and then baked and turned into stone. So these words can't be changed and edited. Now, we're talking about information that's tens of thousands of years old. People back then didn't just sit down and write in cuneiform text just to have a sci-fi movie to make up. They literally only wrote down what they were told to write as scribes, or what they saw. And what they were told to write, and some of them what they saw, were these actual beings that came here that are written about in every single text all around this entire planet. You go into the Enuma Elish, you go into the Atrahasis epic, you go into the Indian Vedas, you go into the Mahabharata, you go into the Bhagavad Gita, you go into all these ancient texts, you go into the Terra papers. No matter where you go around this planet and pull up ancient texts, you're going to discover that people came here from another place that looked just like us, or we look like them. They're our cousins, they're our progenitors. And so it was a multiracial species that came here. Some people want to have it they were all Black. Some people want to have it they were all white. No, if you really analyze all the different texts from around the planet, so you can't just read one specific group of texts and go, oh, this is how it was. The thing that's separated me from a lot of other people in the research area of ancient history and ancient civilizations is the fact that I've gone through over 1,000 texts, scriptures, cylinder scrolls, and books. So over the course of 20 years, I've gone through all this information and been able, and also traveled the globe, been around the world twice, gone to ancient sites and been there in person, talked to homegrown archaeologists, talked to homegrown researchers and guides, people who grew up in the area, people who have history rooted in the area. And then through all that research and investigation, I'm able to paint a bigger picture. The bigger picture is the fact that it wasn't just only people of our complexion avatar. It was also people of different complexions, including blue and green. Blue and green people were also here on this planet at one time. And they're actually etched into hieroglyphs, which you can go visit if you get a passport, go to Egypt, and go to the temples like I did, spend a month out there. You'll see that the blue and green people were there as well. Not animal-looking people, not hybrids, actual people, but they're blue, and one's green. So there were blue people, there were green people, and now scientists have also found that genetic hybrid inside of our body that can create that blue tone or that green tone. And some people are actually born what they call it a defect, some of those remnant genes coming out. But the fact is, there is a very colorful ancient history that does involve Black people. And it doesn't mean that, we're taking away from any accomplishments. It means that a lot of this information came from another place. And when you look into a lot of the cover-ups with UFOs and so forth, one of the biggest reasons for the big-time cover-up on UFOs is the fact that there are some Black people in those UFOs, not little tiny gray aliens and all of them, not green people, not, not these looking animal type aliens, Black people that look like us flying around in space and monitoring this planet and going back and forth as they please. And that's one of the biggest secrets that they're keeping from you and don't want you to know about. There's a lot of Black people flying around in these UFOs. So, the knowledge came here. If you look at if you go to the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford, England, and look at the Sumerian kings list, it's going to give you a list of kings that show you a small amount of men ruling over this planet pre-flood for over 200,000 years, and antediluvial kings. And after the flood, then they handed kingship down to pharaohs or kings, and these were half human, half Anunnaki or half Atlantean, whatever you want to call them. They were split between the Homo sapiens sapien and themselves to keep the bloodline solid for kingship and rulership in ancient times. It took a long time for the pharaonic bloodline to begin to dilute itself out from that direct bloodline, become kind of diluted, but it still remained over a course of time as they got kicked out of Egypt. A lot of people don't know Egypt was overthrown 7 times by 7 different races. Wow. So people always go, all Egyptians, back then were all Black. Not really. They started off Black, and then over time, the races changed as they got overthrown by many different countries. And then eventually, the pharaohs, the last dynasty, they ended up migrating out of Egypt, across Arabia, into Europe, where they became the kings and queen of England and Europe and all that. And they started off Black, but over mating over several generations with different races along the way, ended up becoming more Caucasian. It started off Black and it changed. Just like you look at America now, it's becoming a mixed race, So this is what people have a hard time correlating or understanding. This is why you see a lot of the Egyptian motif when you're looking at the kingdoms of England. All that stuff and all the obelisks and everything else that they put up, all traces all the way back to Arabia, to Africa, then back to Iraq, to the Sumerian kings list, which is in the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford, England. So people have to understand it's not just Black, it's not just white. It's a very colorful history with a lot of information that we can't even go to on one show. But it's a real big story. I mean, it's a huge story. And this is why I'm making a movie called The Chronicles of the Anunnaki. Chronicles, so we can show this thing step by step over time. It's probably going to be a 6 or 7 movie series to really explain all of this in a proper way. A lot of Black people are going to be portrayed in a way that they've never seen before, even different than Black Panther. It's going to be people with vitiligo and people that are albinos, because the description that you read in these ancient texts are not Caucasian description. A lot of the description are really describing people with vitiligo and albanic type skin with African features, which is very clear in a lot of the ancient statues and a lot of the ancient stone carvings that are left behind, even including the face of the Sphinx. The face of the Sphinx was originally Thoth's face, and then it was recarved much later to Thoth's nephew, who was Marduk's son, Amun-Ra's son. That's why this doesn't fit the size of that lion's body, because it was recarved at a later time, because they had animosity toward each other. Thoth left to go to Mesoamerica to build a Teotihuacan civilization, and his brother then etched his face off and put his son's face. So, but yeah, we see what the facial features are. We see it etched in Apple symbol. We see it everywhere. We know what it was. The description of the skin tone is in a lot of these texts. And so for the Anunnaki side, it was always, not always, but a lot of the times it was always this bright colored skin, kind of not pale, but just a bright color, and also blotched color. And then the offspring was always, they called them the black face people. So obviously very dark Black people.